Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So Immortal is a epic historical fantasy romance, and it is my best, my biggest, my most ambitious project that I've ever worked on. It is the longest book I've ever written, and I've been working on it for years, and it's the biggest one because it has companion books and a TV series scripts I've been writing. It is essentially my book baby, even beyond my debut novel, which was Hunter. And so I spent a lot of time editing and working on this even before I sent it to my editor. So shout out to H.A. Pruitt, who helped me edit this book. And so this is the vlog series as I edited Immortal. So yeah, it's a very long process. I hope you'll stick with me through the series. It was definitely really fun because I was like editing what my editor had said. I was editing for myself and the story and all the developmental stuff. I was historically fact checking. There's one section in here where I was also checking, a Japanese friend of mine had beta read the Japanese section, so I was watching for all that stuff. So I was pretty overwhelmed, but this is so fun, and I hope you guys are going to really enjoy this. So yeah, stick with me, and I hope you really enjoy this. Hey everyone, so I think it's day 18 of editing Immortal, and it is November 24th, and it's 10:32. I've actually been working on Immortal since 9:30, so about an hour. I listened to all the recordings for the era I just did, 131 AD China, and we're still discussing a bit of the ending of the Roman thing, and I think there's one more idea that we had to add something else to the Roman era, so I got to go back up to that. And then I'm working on a few big picture things for one of the main characters in this era. So I'm gonna work on that and fix that a little bit, then go back up and add in that extra bit that we wanted to add, and then basically all the big picture stuff are taken care of up until this point, and I'm ready to go to the next part, since we've dealt with everything else up until this point. So I've been working and listening to recordings for an hour. I also I finally bought my little cubbyhole thingy here. Let me show you all of these here. This one was black because I didn't have enough blue ones, or they didn't have them in at the time. So yeah, they didn't have them in at the time, so I just used an old one. I had a black one, and I finally got a blue one, so now they're all blue and then white, so I like that. So while I was listening to recordings, I added that in there. I also edited for my client 2 chapters, very, very long. It took me till 9:30, so it took me an hour and a half, an hour and a half, 2 hours almost to do that. And by the time I finished, I was very tired and kind of done with everything, but I really wanted to at least listen to the recordings for Immortal and get big picture everything taken care of up until the point where I left off, for the next China era, basically. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, and I will check in with you guys later. Hey guys, so it's still day 18 of editing Immortal, and I just got through adding in the scenes in the 131 AD China and the one in Rome, and making a note about it to my editor that those were to address certain issues she discussed, because I have a document where I'm writing down the different eras like Rome, and then doing a bullet point list of everything that I want her to check for round 2, since that will be the final round of edits, so we have to make sure we catch everything, the big picture stuff, everything in general, but specifically the big picture stuff. So I'm adding on to that master list. I also wrote myself a note, hold on, here, and taped it to my binder to make sure that I don't forget. Those are big picture things or things in other eras that I need to remember to look for as I edit. I didn't know where else to write that, so I figured putting it on top of the binder, I can see that and remember, okay, I need to look for those stuff when I come to it. Because sometimes in our recordings, we would talk about future things, future arcs that eventually are coming, and so those are some of the things that I wrote down to remember this, remember that, for when I get there. And those were in the recordings that I just listened to today, which was primarily replying about the final Rome stuff and the 131 AD China stuff. But again, some of those were future stuff we were discussed, so I wanted to add that in there. So I'm getting ready to save Immortal now, and it is 11 p.m. even, so that means that I worked that whole time. I haven't written tonight, probably won't go to, so I'm gonna make a vlog about that for my Tides of War vlog and go from there. But I think that's everything, and I'll check in with you guys the next time I work on Immortal. Hey guys, so it would be day 19 of editing Immortal, but I'm not editing Immortal, so it's like 1:30 in the morning, and today is Saturday, so I started my me time around like 8 o'clock or so, and I sent off both my newsletters, and I finished, and by the time I finished, I had 2 chapters to edit for my client's book, and I literally was even late to have dinner with my husband, which we normally do at 11:30, and it was 11:40 or 45-ish before I could even start dinner. And so, yeah, my whole night was literally just sending off my newsletters and editing for my client. There was so much stuff to work on and fix, and just, I am so tired. Like, my brain was so tired afterwards. I told my husband, I was like, I just need to brain numb because it's just like so much work and stuff. And now once we finished eating and watching a show and stuff, my head is just killing me. And so I'm not going to edit Immortal tonight. I just wouldn't be doing it justice, and I'm honestly exhausted after the long night that I've had editing for my client and their book with a lot of stuff to fix. So that's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm vlogging here with you guys, and I forgot to say for my vlog and NaNoWriMo that I'm not writing in the Tides of War right now. So I'm going to vlog for that and post it on social media, but that's pretty much all I'm doing. So yeah, that's all I got. I will check in with you guys the next time I work on Immortal. Hey everyone! So we put up our Christmas tree tonight. It's day 19 of editing Immortal, I believe. My husky's wondering why I'm on the floor. My mom and my sister and I have matching Christmas pajamas that are Winnie the Pooh themed, so I'm nice and cozy and comfy. There's our Christmas tree. You can see my head. But yeah, this is our Christmas tree. We put it up tonight, so I wanted to show you guys the Christmas tree, and I have some exciting things to talk about. So first of all, as I said, it is day 19 of editing Immortal. It is November 26th, it's 9:50, and tonight I started working around 8-ish, I don't know for sure, but anyways, the point is I got my editing for my client done pretty quickly tonight. Quickly meaning it didn't take me till 11:40 like it did last night. That robbed my time. So because of that, I managed to finish by around 9, and normally the pattern that I had been doing was starting to edit Immortal around 10 o'clock anyway. So I said, well, I have time to write. So I decided to write, and I did, and I finished at 9:40-ish something, and I vlogged. And now I'm here, ready to start editing Immortal, but I wanted to show you guys our Christmas tree and everything, so I'm just excited that I had time tonight, because like I said, I think I vlogged about this, but last night I wrote and sent off both my newsletters and edited 2 chapters for my client, and it was so much work that it was literally 11:40 by the time I finished, which means that I was late for dinner with my husband, and it was just chaos, and I was so tired last night. So it feels good to have gotten tonight to have had an easier night where I was able to do, you know, writing in the Tides of War, even though I've kind of quit writing in the Tides of War, and to also edit Immortal. So I have my PJs, my Christmas PJs. It matches my mom and my sister's on tonight, and that's kind of making me feel the Christmas spirit because we did our Christmas tree and things. So I'm just happy and ready to start editing Immortal. So I'm getting ready to start a new era, which is still China, I believe. So I'm going to get Immortal out and get to work, and I'll check in with you guys later. I didn't realize I was still recording, so you guys can enjoy that little montage. I'm in a letter and trying to figure out the dating system again, because I'm using AD and BC basically, and so trying to figure out changing that from AD and BC to BCE and CE. I think I just did the wrong one, so I have to get my phone and double check, which is why I turned back to my phone to go Google something since my internet is slow, and I noticed my phone was still recording. So that's funny. I don't know how long it's been going or when I stopped or started or anything like that. So have fun with that. Hey guys, so hopefully the lighting looks okay. I'm actually having to run my hotspot on my phone right now because my internet is so slow. It's lagging as I type because I have to use the internet to write on, which is annoying. So I'm literally still stuck on the first page because I had to go back and rethink about the dating system. And I went through some discussion between my editor and I about it because this isn't a spoiler to say there's an archaeologist, and so it makes sense that in her letters within her organization they use the widely used one among scholars, which is BCE and CE, aka Common Era and Before Common Era, which replaces AD and BC, which is before Christ and after dead. And so, but I still want to keep it primarily AD and BC, number one, because I'm a Christian and I don't want to take Christ out of it. Number two, AD and BC are ones people most commonly know, and most of us don't really know the BCE and CE, at least I didn't, unless you're like a scholar, you're really, really like, I don't know, it just doesn't, most people know AD and BC more commonly. So I don't want to confuse readers and have them be like, what era is this again? You know, that kind of thing. So in my character Jace's journals, I want to use that one, but neither of these were used. AD and BC weren't used until the 9th century, and it doesn't make sense that he would have gone back to change it later because he doesn't really edit his journals. He just writes them as things happen. And so I had to find a reason why the archaeologist and her teams would have added it in there, but then they're professionals, so why would they use AD and BC over CE and BCE? And we've been back and forth on different things, so I had to go back up to the last letter where this is first mentioned, aka because they're going back to BC times. And I had a new thing that I added there when I was editing that era, and that didn't make sense, so I changed it and just now came up with something that I think works based on what we've discussed. So I added that in there. So now I'm going back down to where I left off because I did technically edit this page, and I started and I did the first paragraph of this page when I realized that because of this, the dating time period thing needs to be, I need to figure that out essentially moving forward. So I did. So now I'm going back down to where I left off to continue editing, and it is 10:30, so I have an hour to work and hopefully get through this era, which technically which is this long, and it goes straight into another era because these are two different journals, quote unquote, sent at once. So I'm hoping to at least get this one done, but we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna get back to work and I'll check in with you guys later. I just have a romantic quote and it's making me melt. Ugh. And I love it so much, and I have so many feels. This was one of the eras that I added, and oh by golly, it is so romantic. Oh, I just love it so much. I just had to fangirl with you guys. You know what? Screw it. It's not a spoiler. I'm gonna read it. Here I go. Okay, you guys ready for this? This is so romantic. Her shoulders sagged. No man would want a woman who cannot bear him children. I gripped her shoulders and forced her to turn to me. I would. Zhao Ji gasped. What do you mean, Minji? I met her gaze unwavering. I would still want you, Zhao Ji. You are no less of a woman in my eyes. Stroking her jaw with my fingers, I longed to kiss her, but I did not. You are strong, and that is a quality to be loved. I just think it's so romantic. Okay, I gotta get back to editing now and stop fangirling, but so romantic. You know what? That was so romantic. I'm in a Christmas mood because I got Christmas pajamas and a Christmas tree. I'm gonna get me some hot chocolate. Got it. I just made it. I was so excited. So yes, I know this takes time away from my editing, but I deserve a hot chocolate and I'm gonna get back to editing now. So yeah, I'm so cozy. Montage. It's hot. Another page done. I don't want my phone to die, but I hope you guys enjoyed that 3-minute montage with my hot chocolate as I edited. Okay, so I had some distractions with the cats messing with the Christmas tree. But between that and my hot chocolate, I haven't got as much done as I wanted, but that's okay. So I'm about halfway through and I have this many pages left. So 2 actually, so I'm doing pretty good, 2 front and back. And I've done 2 front and back, so that's good. But I came to a point where my editor marked a page and gave me this note, and that is a big picture thing. And I feel like we discussed it in our recordings, but I can't remember. So normally when I wait, Normally I wait till the end of an era to go through our recordings for that era, but this time, instead of just saying general, you know, this big picture thing needs to be fixed, this one is specifically needs to be done here at this point I'm at. And so it makes sense for me to go through, listen to the recordings, and try to fix this part while I'm at it, as opposed to leaving later when my head's done with this entry or era, and doing something different. And it's 11:05, so I have about 20 minutes or so to listen to the recordings and get to this point and figure out if we talked back and forth and got specific ideas for this thing. So I'm gonna do that and check in with you guys when I'm done. Okay, so I listened to the recordings and I have no direct ideas on how to fix this. Not really fix it, because I'm not fixing what's there. I'm adding more to something, and I don't have any new ideas, but I'm going over some old notes and things. It's time for my dinner, so that's all I'm going to be able to do tonight. All I'm going to be able to do tonight. If I do any more or whatever, the next time I do something, I'll check in with you guys. But I did listen to all the recordings for this era, and actually all of the issues except for this one have been addressed. So basically everything I need to do for these last 2 pages is just what she wrote. So everything in the recordings, the big picture stuff that we talked about in the recordings, are all taken care of. I just got to fix what's actually on the page, which hopefully I'll get to tomorrow. So anyways, I'll check in with you guys the next time I edit. Hey guys, so it's still day 19 of editing Immortal, and I'm checking and trying to research the time period this took place in, because I need to add more moments, and I think I need to make the culture stand out, because it's like easily forgotten. So it's like written good, and my editor liked it, and of course I love it, but later on when you get through the rest of the story, this is not one of the eras that you remember. So I think making the culture a little bit more prominent will help with that. And the problem is I can't find much information on it, because I wrote it with the whole ancient China kind of vague aspect to it. But unfortunately, my book, A History of the World Map by Map, skips over it because you have the Han Dynasty, and then after the Han Dynasty fell, it went into the 3 warring states period or something like that. The 3 kingdoms period in China. And then after that, my book skips over that part and goes straight into the, something else after that. I can't remember exactly. And then it just jumps to the Middle Ages in 500. So it completely brushes over the 3 kingdoms. And this one kingdom in particular lasted for like a year during that. And that year is literally when in that kingdom that rises and falls within a year is literally where my story is. Problem is, because it rose and fell so quickly, there's not that much information on it. So I've been scouring the internet, as you can see, and my books, and I got nothing. So I will check in with you guys when I actually find something worthy to report. I found it! I found it! Okay, so this is Warfare. You probably can't see the title, but Warfare, the definitive visual history. And I went to the index and I looked, and it war in the ancient world. So this is 3000 BCE to 500 CE. So 3000 BC to 500 AD as we know it. And I found it. It says the 3 kingdoms. So I'm going to turn to that page and see what information I can find. Bad news, guys. I just read the page on it and it doesn't have anything that I need. It's just kind of like a brief overview of the period and the main big 3 empires. Let me show you here. The Shu, the Wu, and the Wei. This doesn't even have the empire that I need on the map. And it's just kind of an overview of that. So I think I'm going to internet research, because I don't think the books that I have are going to cover this. So back to scouring the internet with slow internet service. This is going to be fun. I must admit, it's also less painful because I don't have to sit on the floor. My knees are killing me and I am getting old. Sorry, I don't know why my camera was unfocusing. So, I've found 3 articles that mention that this kingdom existed for a year. Basically what happened was the Han Dynasty, and I'll probably talk about this more I may do a series of videos or a podcast where I talk about the actual history behind the whole book. But essentially the Han Dynasty in ancient China broke up, and the emperor became kind of a puppet, and then the generals all split off and formed their own dynasties. Those were the big three. And from other sources, this kingdom did exist elsewhere, but it only lasted for a year, and a lot of the scholars later, a few years later, this was like 200 to 280 AD is when the three kingdoms period lasted. So this was like scholars later, like 300, 400, 500 AD, that talked about those time periods do acknowledge that this kingdom existed, but most of them don't count them as its own country or kingdom because it was so small and lasted for such a short time. It didn't matter, kind of, not compared to the big three. I mean, you saw the map, so the big three, like, their regions were huge, whereas this one was just like, it rose to power, they tried to state their independence essentially, and then I don't exactly know what happened, but they essentially just, you know, died off, and everything else got absorbed by the other periods. So I haven't found anything to do with their culture. So then I was like, okay, well, if they existed during the three kingdoms period, and if they were an additional fourth kingdom, like some other scholars consider them to be, then they would have had a similar culture to the other kingdoms. So I was just looking up the culture itself. And what I found out was, in China and Asia and stuff, apparently, like China and Korea especially, the three kingdoms period is a very romanticized period, kind of like the samurai in Japan being this 1500s, the golden age of samurai is what's romanticized. More of you probably listening are more familiar with pirates. For us, the golden age of piracy is what's been romanticized for us, so like the 1500s and 1600s and stuff like that. So it's like, so this was the romanticized era, one of the romanticized eras of China. So then I was like, okay, well, to get a feel for the culture and to get inspiration, then I just need to find a lot of the movie, because I kept reading over and over again that there were a lot of movies and novels and books written from this time period. One of those was a book that I found that was written a long time ago, like 700 or something like that, or a while back. And so I managed to get a translation of that book, and I was kind of reading through it, but it was a lot of like action and political intrigue, and I'm looking for like romancy moments and like what they would have done to be romantic with each other. And so I think I found a couple movies, so my best bet is just to watch a couple movies, get a feel for the culture, and just take some inspiration just to get the scene that I need. Feels like a lot of extra work for something kind of small, but I want to do this right and have this time period. I need something to make it stand out, and that means I need a feel for the culture. So the best thing I can do is just do my research, watch a couple movies that are done by people who know that time period, and get a feel for the culture and everything. So I'll check in with you guys when I have something better to report, but it looks like I'm going to be watching stuff on Netflix. So I get to watch Netflix as a research, but like, I don't know. We'll see how this works. One of them was actually a video game called Dynasty Warriors, and I played the Japan version of that, which is Samurai Warriors. And I knew about Dynasty Warriors, but apparently it actually does take place during this time period, and they turned it from a video game into a Netflix show. And since the game would take me longer to play, even though we do actually have that game, it'd be quicker to just watch the Netflix version. So that's what I'm going to try to do to get a feel for the culture, and we'll see what happens. Because I know there were a few kind of minor romances in the Samurai Warriors. It just isn't overly focused on, because again, that started off as a video game, so you're trying to like play the video game, so there's a lot of like action and stuff. But we'll see what happens with the Netflix version of Dynasty Warriors. I don't know, it seems like a lot of extra work just for one scene, but my old notes weren't helpful because that era has a different like name and character building and stuff, and I like to keep that intact. If I change it to fit this one, then that means that will no longer exist for me to use at a later time. So this is my option and where I'm at, but again, I'll check in with you guys when I actually kind of figure this out. So it's still day 19 of editing Immortal, and just for reference, it's about 2 a.m. It was like 1:50 or so it's almost 2 a.m. in the morning. Still the same day for me. So I have a pillow, I have a blanket, I have everything I need. I'll be using my phone. I'm using it to vlog with, but my phone will be sitting here on my pillow as I watch. But I wanted to show you guys my portfolio. This is what I used. This is the case I brought with me on the cruise to write on the cruise, and now I'm using it to give me something solid to write on, because I'm going to take notes. If I get inspired, if they give any historical details that I can fact check, then I'm going to write it down. Anything and everything will go in this little notebook right here. So which is actually from my other... Oh my gosh, this is what I used on the cruise. My cruise notes are still in here. Or at least part of them. So whatever I write, I'll be tearing out, but I just needed a notebook to write in for now. So I've got all prepared. So yeah, now I just need my phone, so I gotta stop vlogging so I can actually start doing, so I'll show you guys if I get anything worthy to talk about, I will talk about it. And yeah, I may even write the entry on here and type it up tomorrow and edit it tomorrow when I get back at this or something, if I get inspired for it or whatever as I go. So I'm all ready to go and I'm nice and cozy. And yeah, you can see our Christmas tree there, and my dog is here. I'll show you guys. Sleeping. Quiet. But I gotta get started and stop procrastinating, so here we go. Here's to hoping I actually get into it. I'm not sure what I just watched. And while it did have historical details in there when it first started, it like gave a little text on the screen that did line up with everything I've read and researched. It got a little weird very quickly. Opening battle, we're already dealing with necromancy and Chinese zombie warriors that are biting horses and people, and just very weird. So while it is in the right time period, it's one of those like historical fantasies, which there's no problem with that. It's just not what I need right now. And it's not going to be very helpful to me just looking for a little inspiration so I can understand the culture of the time period a little bit better, you know, and speak like movies would give me like a better visual. I don't think it's going to be helpful. So I'm going to continue my research and see if I can find anything else to read or watch about it and go from there. But that was not helpful. I don't need zombies. I need details. So yeah, that was a bust. We're going to keep looking. And by we, I mean me. And then I'll update you guys about whether I find anything or not. So wish me luck. Hey guys. My fingers are numb, these two especially. I don't handwrite very well, so I'm surprised I did on the ship. Either way, I'll have a card to that above the writing around the ship, since this was the portfolio and the very notebook I used to do it with. But I started trying another one, and it didn't make sense either. But I was like, okay, I've been procrastinating, basically, because I've been, I need historical research. I don't know the culture. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I just was procrastinating. Let's be honest. All writers do it. So basically, I was falling. I just was like, all right, I need to get my butt in gear and just sit down and write. And I'm sitting down already. So I wrote, I don't want you guys to read it, but I wrote this page. I'm trying not to tear these pages. Oh my goodness. And then, so this page here, and then this one. And it is now like 2:30, 2:40. So my fingers are numb, but I got the moment that I needed. And I hope it's going to be memorable now because of the moment that I did. Like, oh, this is going to be, we'll remember this as the moment that they did this, basically. So I was going to include the moment that I found in my notes. However, I realized that one needs to stay intact in case I use it at a later time, because that actually is a specific moment or era that they had. So I'm putting this in this portfolio here. So tomorrow or the next time that I edit, I will type this up, edit it as I type, and make it fit in with the scenes, and then edit the rest of the era that I'm working on. And that's my goal for the next time. So that'll be day 20. And by the way, I think it was November 26th, but it's in the AM, which y'all know means it's still the 26th for me, I think. It might have been the 25th. So now I get to finally relax and wind down for the evening. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this very long, several different vlogs here, but that's part of the job and what goes into researching. So my hands are numb. I gotta unnumb them and relax. And my neck also hurts. So I'm gonna lay back and relax. So I'll officially, this is it. I will see you guys the next time I edit. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Liking my videos really helps push these videos into the algorithm. That's the way the algorithm works, so I appreciate every one of you who like these videos and watch them and stick with me. And in the meantime, if you liked this episode in the vlog series, then check out the next one. It'll be up as a premiere unless you're already watching this after it's out, but either way, check it out. You don't want to miss it. This super, super exciting stuff.